If you've ever bagged your grass clippings or tossed them onto a compost pile, you've probably wondered how long it actually takes for that bright green, freshly cut grass to break down into dark, crumbly, nutrient-rich humus. Most gardeners hear estimates anywhere from a few weeks to a full year, but the real answer is a bit more complex. To find out the truth, we ran an extended observation, tracking grass clippings under different conditions from the day they were collected until the moment they finally stabilized into humus. What we learned is useful for anyone who composts, mulches, or simply wants to build healthier soil. Below is the full breakdown of what we discovered. Before talking about timelines, let's clear up a common misunderstanding. Humus isn't just decomposed organic matter, it's the final stable stage of decomposition. Grass clippings breaking down is only the beginning. True humus forms after. First, microbes decompose the material, then fungi refine what's left, and finally chemical reactions bond the remaining carbon into stable humic substances. At this point, the material no longer breaks down quickly. Humus can persist in soil for decades, improving structure, water retention, and nutrient availability. After tracking grass clippings in multiple environments, here's what we found. In a hot, well-managed compost pile, it takes about 3 to 4 months for humus to form. Grass clippings broke down really quickly. Within 7 to 10 days, they lost their green color. By 3 to 4 weeks, the clippings were no longer recognizable at all. Then, by 10 to 12 weeks, the material had turned into dark, crumbly compost, rich in humic compounds. True humus, that stable, dark, uniform stuff, showed up around 3 to 4 months. This was the fastest method by far. In a cool or neglected compost pile, it can take about 6 to 12 months for things to break down. When we left grass clippings in a pile without turning them regularly, decomposition slowed dramatically. The clippings matted together, restricting airflow, and it took about 2 to 3 months just for the structure to break down. Full humus formation, on average, took anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Moisture levels made a big difference. If things were too dry, everything slowed down, but if it got too wet, that caused anaerobic rot. When grass clippings were used as mulch on the soil surface, it usually took about 4 to 9 months to decompose. When we spread them in a thin layer around plants, the top dried quickly, forming a light straw-like texture, while the underside decomposed steadily because of contact with the soil. Earthworms would pull fragments underground within about 2 to 4 weeks, and by 3 to 5 months, the clippings were fully broken down. True humus integrated into the soil took 4 to 9 months. This method produced excellent worm activity and soil structure. Buried in soil, it takes about 2 to 5 months. When grass clippings were mixed or buried lightly in soil, microbes acted quickly thanks to moisture and darkness. Breakdown became noticeable in about 7 to 14 days, material fully decomposed within 6 to 10 weeks. Humus formation took 2 to 5 months, depending on soil temperature. This surprised us. It was nearly as fast as hot composting. What affects the breakdown speed most? First up, moisture. Optimal decomposition happened when the clippings were moist, but not soggy. Too much water caused slime and odor, but too little slowed everything down. Okay, so, let's talk about the carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. Grass is high in nitrogen, which means it's got a low carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. When we mixed in carbon materials like leaves, straw, or even cardboard, we noticed a few things. The heat output went up, microbial activity really surged, and humus formed a lot more quickly. The sweet spot, honestly, was a carbon-to-nitrogen ratio of about 25 to 30 to 1. And, number 3, oxygen. Turning the compost pile or just fluffing up the clippings helped prevent those anaerobic pockets. Oxygen, really sped up the microbial stages that are needed to build good humus. Temperature. Warm conditions between 60 and 70 degrees Celsius inside a hot pile produce the quickest transformation. Cooler outdoor piles, well, they took much longer. Particle size. Shorter clippings, decomposed faster. When mowing, mulching blades helped speed results noticeably. Signs that grass clippings have fully become humus. During our tracking, the material went through distinct stages. You'll know grass clippings have become humus when, well, they are dark brown to black, no visible clippings remain, the texture is crumbly and uniform, there is no odor, only an earthy smell, the material does not heat up again when disturbed, and, worms and microorganisms have fully invaded the pile. Once these conditions were consistent for several weeks, the material reached stable humus. So, how to make your grass turn into humus faster? Based on our results, here's the most effective formula. First, mix grass with carbon-rich material. Add equal volumes of dry leaves, wood shavings, shredded cardboard, straw, and pine needles. This prevents matting and balances nitrogen. Second, keep a moisture level like a wrung-out sponge. Try to avoid letting the pile get waterlogged or, bone dry. Third, turn the pile every 1 to 2 weeks. Honestly, this was one of the most important differences between fast and slow piles. Now add a handful of finished compost. This inoculates the pile with microbial life, and honestly, it's a pretty important step. Next up, chop grass clippings finely. Using mulching blades or just a quick pass with a mower really speeds up the entire process. So, what's the final verdict? Grass clippings can become humus surprisingly fast, as little as 3 to 4 months under ideal conditions. Under average conditions, 6 to 12 months is more realistic. But regardless of the time frame, grass clippings are one of the most powerful and easily available organic materials for building soil. They're nitrogen-rich, decompose readily, and attract worms and beneficial microbes. If you want to turn your yard waste into soil-building gold, grass clippings are one of the simplest, most effective materials you can use.